Below is a rewritten version of the story, The Shadow of Crestwood, reimagined with a new setting, heightened tension, and a more dramatic situation. The timeline avoids specific dates, and the characters' names have been changed to ensure originality. The core theme of confronting systemic racism and reforming a corrupt police force remains, but the stakes are raised with a more volatile scenario. The story is crafted to be gripping, suitable for a YouTube audience, and copyright safe. The small town of Ashwood, Tennessee, sat like a forgotten relic along the Cumberland River, its 50,000 residents caught between the fading glow of old coal mines and the creeping sprawl of Nashville's outskirts. The air carried the faint tang of river water and diesel, mingling with the hum of cicadas in the oppressive summer heat. Downtown, Ashwood's police station, a crumbling concrete block with rusted bars over its windows, stood as a grim sentinel on Cedar Avenue, its faded sign barely legible against the peeling paint. Derrick Hayes pulled his borrowed Chevy pickup, a dented relic with a cracked windshield, into an alley a block from the station. At 47, Derrick was a man forged by struggle. Raised in Memphis's Orange Mound, a black neighborhood where survival meant dodging bullets and broken promises, he joined the army at 19, serving 3 tours in Afghanistan. There, he'd learned to read danger in a glance. After the military, he'd clawed his way through law school at night, becoming a detective in Nashville, where he spent 12 years rooting out corruption in precincts thicker with rot than Ashwood's riverbanks. Now, Ashwood City Council had hired him as their new chief of police, a black man tasked with taming a department on the brink of chaos. He'd studied the reports. A federal audit had branded Ashwood PD as a cesspool of systemic bias, with black residents 3 times more likely to be arrested than white ones, far above the national average. Use of force incidents had surged 50% in recent years, costing the city $900,000 in settlements. A local survey showed only 25% of Ashwood's black community trusted the police, compared to 70% of white residents. A chasm reflecting decades of unchecked power. The department wasn't just broken, it was a ticking bomb, and Derrick intended to defuse it or detonate it himself. He adjusted his worn leather jacket, hiding his close-cropped graying hair, and swapped his polished boots for scuffed work sneakers. No badge, no hint of his rank, just a man who could have been a truck driver or a day laborer. He needed the raw truth, how these officers operated when they thought no one was watching. The council demanded change. He'd deliver. But first, he'd face the beast head-on. Derrick crossed the station's lot, the heat pressing down like a physical weight. Squad cars sat haphazardly, one with a cracked taillight blinking erratically. Near the entrance, 4 officers stood in a tight knot, smoking and trading crude jokes. Their laughter cut through the humid air, sharp and careless. Derrick kept his head low, slipping inside unnoticed. The lobby smelled of mildew and burnt coffee, its flickering lights casting long shadows on cracked linoleum. A corkboard sagged with outdated notices, a grainy mugshot, a memo on overtime cuts, a yellowed flyer for a long-past charity run. Derrick lingered, ears sharp, when a shout sliced through the stillness. "You! What the hell are you doing here?" Derrick turned slowly. Officer Nathan Carver, 6'3", pale with a buzz cut, his frame lean but coiled like a predator, strode toward him, badge gleaming under the dim lights. His green eyes burned with contempt, a sneer twisting his lips. 3 others followed. Jenkins, short and stocky, chewing gum. Monroe, wiry, with a scar on his cheek. And Ortiz, young, fidgeting with his belt. "This ain't a damn soup kitchen," Carver spat, his Tennessee drawl thick with disdain. "You got business, or you just lost?" Derrick kept his hands loose at his sides, voice steady. "Looking for directions. Didn't mean to bother." Carver barked a laugh, glancing at his crew for validation. "Directions? This look like tourist spot to you, boy? You're in the wrong place." Jenkins smirked, Monroe cracked his knuckles, Ortiz looked away. Derrick felt the weight of their stares. His jacket, his dark skin, the unspoken accusation of being out of place. He'd felt it at 15 when Memphis cops slammed him against a wall for looking suspicious. At 30, when Nashville colleagues whispered he'd only made detective because of quotas. Now, he let it fuel him. "Move your ass," stepping closer, his shadow swallowing Derrick's. "Before I drag you out." Derrick met his gaze, calm, unyielding. Carver's sneer faltered, a flicker of unease breaking through. Then Carver lunged, grabbing Derrick's collar and slamming him against the wall. The impact rattled the corkboard, a flyer fluttering to the floor. Jenkins laughed, Monroe cheered, Ortiz froze. Carver leaned in, his breath hot with tobacco, and hissed, "You don't belong here, trash." He reared back and spit, a thick wad hitting Derrick's jaw. The room erupted. Jenkins doubled over laughing, Monroe clapping Carver's back. Derrick's pulse roared, but his face stayed stone. He'd taken bullets in Kandahar, insults in precinct halls. This was uglier, rawer, a distillation of everything festering here. He wiped the spit with his sleeve, slow and deliberate, eyes never leaving Carver's. "That how you treat everyone?" Derrick asked, voice low, cutting through their jeers. Carver grinned, wiping his mouth. "Just the ones who don't know their place." Derrick held his stare. A beat, two, then pushed off the wall and walked out, their laughter echoing behind him. The humid air hit his face, mixing with the spit still clinging to his skin. They just handed him the match to burn their house down. 3 hours later, the precinct's briefing room was a pressure cooker. 50 officers packed the space, some sprawled in chairs, others pacing, muttering about budget cuts and long shifts. Captain Robert Ellis, 55, with a weathered face and a voice like gravel, stood at the front, slamming a fist on the podium. "Quiet down," Ellis barked. "We've got a new chief today." Carver sat near the back, legs kicked up, still buzzing from his earlier stunt. Derrick waited in the corridor, his leather jacket swapped for a navy suit, crisp, authoritative, tie blood red. In his hand was a dossier, months of data, complaints and dirt on the department, a weapon sharper than any gun. Ellis cleared his throat. Chief Harper stepped down. "Meet your new boss, Chief Derrick Hayes." Derrick entered and the room froze, like a predator had just stepped into a den of wolves. His 6'2" frame filled the doorway, his dark eyes scanning every face, some curious, some hostile, one paling fast. He placed the dossier on the podium with a deliberate thud, hands clasped behind his back. "Morning," he said, voice deep, owned by years of leading men in war and courtrooms. "I'm Derrick Hayes, your new chief of police, effective now." Murmurs broke out. Shock, suspicion, a hissed curse. Derrick let it simmer. "I didn't come in as your chief today," he said. "I came in plain clothes, no badge, no title. I wanted the real Ashwood PD, not the show you put on for the higher-ups." The air tightened, breaths held, boots shuffling. "What I got was assault, humiliation, and spit on my face," he said, pausing as gasps rippled. "Not because I was a threat, but because I didn't look like I belonged." He zeroed in on Carver, whose smirk vanished, hands balling into fists. "Officer Carver pinned me to a wall, called me trash, and spit on me. You laughed with him." Carver's face turned scarlet, defiance flaring. The room was a graveyard. "This isn't about me," Derrick said, stepping forward. "It's about Ashwood. I've got the stats. Federal audits say you arrest black folks 3 times more than white, worse than the national average. Use of force cases are up 50%, costing $900,000 in hush money. Only 25% of black residents trust you, compared to 70% of white. That's not a police force. That's a fracture." He tapped the dossier. "My father was beaten by cops in '89, unarmed, 40 resisting. I became a soldier, then a cop to stop that, not join it." The silence was suffocating. "Reform isn't a choice," he said, voice rising. "It's a necessity. Nationwide, police killings outpace Europe's by 5 times. Ashwood's not exempt. Integrity, accountability, fairness, that's the standard now. Fail it, you're gone." He pointed. "Officer Carver, suspended, effective now. Investigation starts today." The room erupted. Carver shot up, chair clattering. "This is a setup," he roared, veins bulging. "You can't do this." "It's done," Derrick said, voice like steel. "Get out." Carver charged forward, fist raised, but Ellis and two others grabbed him, dragging him out as he shouted threats. The door slammed, his yells fading down the hall. Derrick turned back. Serve with honor or don't serve. No middle ground. He took his dossier and left, the precinct trembling in his wake. Day 1, Derrick moved fast. He pulled strategies from proven reforms. Camden, NJ, slashed crime by 40% after rebuilding its force. Oakland, CA, cut complaints 25% with civilian oversight. Ashwood's plan: mandatory 10-hour monthly de-escalation training, 100% body cam compliance, violators faced immediate suspension, and a civilian review board with teeth. 6 locals, no cops, with power to subpoena. He tore into personnel files. Carver's record was a nightmare. 6 excessive force complaints in 5 years, including a 16-year-old black kid tasered over a suspicious backpack. Jenkins had 3 profiling incidents, one involving a black pastor searched without cause. Monroe's name appeared in 2 lawsuits, costing $60,000. The union called it a purge, but Derrick had the mayor's 4-3 council vote in his pocket. Carver's investigation was damning. 8 witnesses confirmed his pattern of racial slurs and brutality. By week 2, he was fired. Jenkins resigned, tweeting, "Hayes is a fraud destroying us." It got 10,000 retweets, half in support, half in outrage. Derrick walked the station daily, suit off, sleeves up. Officer Maya Carter, 7 years in, black, sharp-eyed, approached him in the break room. "I saw Carver last year. Roughed up a kid for nothing," she admitted, voice low. "I didn't speak up." "Cowardice isn't an excuse," Derrick said, firm but fair. "Make it right." She did, flagging Monroe's crew for targeting black teens near the riverfront. Ortiz, 25, confessed over vending machine chips. "Jenkins forced me to fake a report once. I didn't want to be the snitch." Derrick retrained him. "Hours on ethics, the weight of the badge." "You're not a snitch," he said. "You're a cop now." But resistance brewed. Week 3, Derrick's truck was torched in the precinct lot, flames licking the sky, a crowd gathering as sirens wailed. A note was found in the ashes: "Leave or burn." Nights, in his rented apartment on River Lane, he'd stare at his father's old watch, stopped at 3:17, the moment of his beating. "For you," he'd whisper, then draft another policy. A month later, Derrick faced Ashwood at a town hall in the Riverside Community Center. 500 packed in, the air thick with anger. Black mechanics, white farmers, Latino store clerks, fists clenched, voices sharp. He stood at the mic, jacket off, scars visible on his forearms. "I know you're angry," he said, voice booming. "Last year, a black teen got his jaw broken by a cop, no charges. 2 years ago, a Latino dad was cuffed in front of his kids for suspicion. We've failed you." A man, 30s, bald, tattooed, stood. "My brother stopped every week. No reason. You changing that?" "New policy," Derrick said. "No stops without clear cause. Data's online. Check ashwoodpd.org. Stops are down 15% already." A woman, 60s, silver hair, rose. "My grandson's scared to play outside. What's your fix?" "Foot patrols," Derrick said. "Officers walk neighborhoods, not just drive through. Starts next week, based on Portland's model, cut tensions 20%. A boy, 10, glasses, clutching a basketball, spoke. "My dad says y'all don't care about us." Derrick knelt. "I care. Chief Hayes, Cedar Avenue Station. You need me. I'm there." The boy smiled, tentative. Outside, 100 protesters chanted, "Justice now." A brick flew, shattering a window near Derrick. Glass sprayed, but he didn't flinch, just kept walking. Then a video hit social media, a grainy clip of Carver spitting on Derrick tagged Ashwood PD Truth. It racked up 5 million views in 48 hours. Reform Ashwood trended. $30,000 flooded into a community fund, but hate surged too. Hayes is a thug in a suit. The backlash came fast. Ex-Lieutenant Carl Brody, 50, grizzled, a 25-year veteran, rallied 9 officers. He'd been forced out after a $120,000 brutality payout, but still had pull. On a local radio show, Ashwood Raw, he twisted the narrative. Hayes faked that video to play the race card. It hit 100,000 listens. Protests doubled, some for Derrick, some against. Brody's crew staged a strike. 15 officers called in sick on a Friday night. A bar on River Road was hit, $5,000 stolen, the owner shot in the leg. Local news screamed, "Where's Hayes's reform?" The council called him in. 6 suits in a dim boardroom. Mayor Thompson, 70 stern, scowled. "You're tearing us apart." "I'm rebuilding," Derrick said, voice steady. "Nationwide, 1 in 12 cops has a misconduct record. Ours was 1 in 7. You want riots? Support me." Thompson exhaled. The vote 4-3 kept him. Brody's group got raided. Dashcam showed them shaking down dealers for cash. By the next month, they were gone, 3 arrested. 6 months later, Derrick watched new recruits, 15 fresh faces, train on de-escalation at the station. Use of force incidents dropped 35%. Per internal data, trust rose. 40% of black residents said they'd call the police, a 15-point jump. Carter led community talks at the riverfront. Ortiz mentored kids at the rec center. The brick thrower, Marcus, 20, brought him a soda. "Sorry, Chief." At a town festival, the glasses-wearing boy, Ty, ran up handing Derrick a note. "You're the best." Derrick grinned. "Tell your dad we're working on it." Nights in his apartment, he taped the note beside his father's watch, stopped at 3:17. The fight wasn't over, but Ashwood was breathing, one spit, one battle, one step at a time.